Well, Heidi ho, everybody. Here we are once again, Miss Billie and I. How are you, Billie?
I'm great, Caleb. It's good to have you back.
Thanks. Today, you want to talk about what we're going to talk about today? Or should I talk about what we're going to talk about today?
You know, I think
It was almost kind of your idea. So here's backroom baseball. Billie and I were discussing the topic for today of what to choose. And I listed some topics. She's like, eh. And then I give her a topic, which is this topic. And I go, you're not going to talk about that. So let's just skip that. She goes, wait a minute. That's the best one. Well, maybe you should tell them what we're going to talk about and why you wanted to talk about it, because I know why I want to talk about it.
So we're going to talk today about being a public-facing brand. So for a lot of you, if you're new to the podcast, if you're new to me, I hate being on camera. I feel like the biggest dork in the whole wide world. It's really uncomfortable for me.
Which is normal. This is most people.
It is. And the more guys I talk to through Caleb's programs, especially, I realize this is really common. We are an introverted,
it's the norm,
more intelligent than average group of individuals. So stepping out is hard. I've spent the last 15 years making sure that I am not a public brand. I am the magic behind the curtain, and you have to work to find me. I don't have a website. I don't advertise myself. Yeah. You literally have to happen across me through a contact that you know who said, holy crap, she's awesome. Because that's how strongly I feel about not being a public brand and not opening myself up that way. Caleb is the opposite. This guy puts himself out there like no one I freaking know. So I thought it would be great for us to have a conversation about bridging that gap and learning to become part of or develop a public-facing brand.
So I'll start. There's a few places I could start. I'll just start where I think makes the most sense. So boy, this is a big topic. I just realized thinking about this is a very big topic.
Years ago, Caleb, when you started becoming a public figure, you used a pseudonym, right? You used the Black Dragon?
Right. So, but before that, I was a public speaker under my own name. So I went through several strange iterations. And this is probably not typical. But first, when I was in my 20s, I started public speaking. I joined Toastmasters, and I did that to be better at sales, because a bunch of sales gurus back in the 90s said, join Toastmasters, learn how to speak in front of people, and that'll help your sales calls. I went, well, that makes perfect sense, actually. So I joined Toastmasters, did some speeches, and I fucking loved it. I said, oh, this is really fun. I really enjoy this. People are all scared, nervous, and shaking, and I get up there and just start talking. And what's funny is, and I know this sounds funny, for those who don't know, I'm an introvert. Introvert means my energy comes from being by myself. Extrovert means energy comes from being with other people. So when I'm around other people, I can do it, and I'm very socially calibrated, but it's very draining for me. And after a few hours, especially if you have like a long event, I got to go back home or back to my hotel room if I'm traveling, and be by myself and just do nothing and stare out the window or read a book or whatever and just decompress and recharge, because I'm an introvert, and you are too. Correct, Billie? Does that accurately describe you?
100%. Yeah. And I live as a hermit as a result.
Right.
I don't have to see another human being unless I make an effort to do so by leaving my home.
Right. So your ability to be a public brand or be a public person, however you want to do this, is not reliant at all upon whether or not you're a people person or an extrovert. Introvert has literally nothing to do with it. One of my big all-time mentors of all time is Brian Tracy. And this is a guy who has spent the past 50 years traveling the world, speaking 200 plus dates a year, even well into like his 80s, public speaking. And he was an introvert, just like me. And he had to go be by himself. So it's nothing to do with that. So the fact that you said, well, you're an introvert, why did you like public speaking? Nothing to do with it. You can be an introvert and enjoy public speaking. You can be an introvert and enjoy one-on-one conversations.
It's funny that you say that, Caleb. Because for me, I would much rather stand in front of an audience of 50,000 people and talk about, and deliver a speech or talk about something that I know a lot about. I would do that in a heartbeat versus walking into like a traditional networking event where you're supposed to go and shake hands and schmooze. Not going to happen.
Agree.
It doesn't do that.
Agree. Because I like that, speaking in front of a group. I like one-on-one conversations like this. I enjoy these a lot. But I tried traditional business networking. We walk into a networking group and oh my God, shoot me in the fucking head. I hated it. And there's some guys and gals I know who just love that stuff. I'm like, oh, and they go around the room and they flutter around like little birds. They talk to everyone and they get all happy because they're extroverts. So this charges them. They love this stuff. And I'm like, how do they do it? Shoot me in the head.
I can emotionally gear myself up to talk to one stranger in that situation.
Isn't that funny?
And then I'm drained. Yeah. I have to recharge in order to approach another person.
And what's funny is my son is an extrovert. So he and I will go to like an event together. We'll sit down. I'm on my phone waiting for the speaker. He will just turn to the person next to him and say, hi, my name's Josh. He did this. We were in Vegas in one of these events years ago. He's like, hi, my name's Josh. And he starts talking to this random person. And it was a woman who owned a company. And he was doing social media marketing back then. Today is marketing. And he got her as a client, like $3,000 a month just by saying hi. I would never occur to me to turn to him and say, hi, my name's Caleb. How are you today? I don't give a shit. But anyway, getting off topic, which we tend to do in this podcast, which is all right.
It's all interrelated.
Yeah, it's all interrelated. So anyway, I started doing public speaking sporadically. Doing that as a consultant. Then I joined Toastmasters, got pretty good with that, got a certification through Toastmasters. Then I joined the National Speakers Association, which is like Uber professional speakers. Great place, great organization. And even after I left that organization, I would still go back to their annual meetings once every few years. I haven't been back in a while because of COVID, things like that. So fantastic. I was doing more and more public speaking under my own name. As a business speaker, I specifically was business technology back then. It was a long time ago. Then I went on the internet, started my first internet company, and that was on dating girls and various other fun things like that. And the topics were somewhat controversial. Today, I don't care, but back then I was a little concerned. This is like 15 years ago now. And yeah, my name was Black Dragon, and I was able to make a real functioning 6-figure, location-dependent online company work, being a public avatar, not being myself. No one really knew who I was. Now, I didn't hide who I was. I didn't go out of my way. When I was on forums and stuff, and people asked my real name, I said, my name's Caleb Jones. It wasn't a big deal, but I didn't go out of my way to advertise. So I advertised me as a symbol, and my name was Black Dragon, and that was it. I didn't put. And then eventually, when I came out with The Unchained Man, which is my biggest book, 2014, I made the decision to merge my consulting speaking practice under Caleb Jones with my dating Black Dragon stuff under one model called Alpha Male 2.0. And I said, okay, in order to do this, I'm going to have to do business under myself. If I'm going to be taken seriously as an author and as a true provider and scale this company, I needed to be myself, my face. And if it's controversial, that's the way it fucking goes. And so that's when I made that shift in 2014-ish. I think that's about right. When I started using my own picture, my own name. People still call, a lot of guys by now, still call me BD, Black Dragon for sure. They still do it. It's fine. And I still use that term sometimes. As a matter of fact, some of my dating books still have the Black Dragon name because it's still a good brand that I built up. So I want to eliminate the brand, but it's me. And unsurprisingly, my income really took off when it was me. And despite the negatives, I was thinking about, well, you know what? I'm overweight. I'm less overweight now. Matter of fact, this morning I got on the scale for the first time. I saw a weight in the scale that made me happy. Not where I want to be. I'm like, oh, good. So what I'm doing now is working. I haven't had sugar in
right on.
Weeks. Yeah, that worked. But things like, I don't dress up in nice clothes and I don't have a cool studio and all these usual excuses we people say about, well, what about my hair and what about my skin and what about my age and I'm not good looking and I'm not this and I'm not that. I don't have 6-pack abs. And I had all those same thoughts, but I said, you know what? I want the money. I don't care. I want the cash. So if I want the cash, I'm going to have to, in this business. Now, there are many companies where you don't have to show your face. If you sell hard products or widgets, no one cares who you are. So that's fine. I've told people that. Hey, I want to start a business, but I want anyone to know who I am. Well, if you're starting hard products, something like that, no one cares who you are. But if you're doing any sort of informational business, information, sales, content, often services, especially business services, even personal services, you will do better if you show your face. It's just a reality. Despite the fact you may think you're ugly, despite the fact you may think you're not a good speaker, despite the fact you have to read off a piece of paper. So at least I had the leverage of I could jump on a video and immediately be comfortable, pretty immediately, because I had 15 years at that point of public speaking experience. So it was easy for me, easier than a lot of people.
That's interesting because I've been public speaking since my school days.
Mm-hmm.
And as a professional equestrian, would teach clinics and workshops and a lot of one-on-one coaching. And for me, that didn't translate into being in front of a camera.
Why? It's the same thing.
Yeah, I know that. I'm a smart girl.
Same thing. You're just talking to a camera instead of a human. It's pretty much the same thing.
Exactly.
What emotionally is it? How is it different for you emotionally? Because a lot of people are going to run into this.
So for me, I think what I've learned is that I'm not afraid of a camera, right? But I don't get any feedback from this static piece of equipment.
Oh, I see.
So for me, having a conversational podcast with you and with some of the other guests that we've had is great because I'm having a conversation with my peers, my friends, my network. Mm-hmm. That's super easy. The cameras just happen to be there.
That's true.
I'm getting that feedback just as you've given me now. You shook your head, you nodded. I'm getting immediate feedback. And for me, that was what I really needed to start feeling comfortable in front of a camera. Now,
so it would be very hard for you to do a video, a true blue YouTube video where you're just talking to the camera the whole time.
Have
you ever done that? You've never done that, have you?
No.
Okay. Not even for like your own course. You don't have any courses either. So you haven't done a course or any of that stuff.
I haven't.
And
you're
just a one-on-one person
because of these fears and these things, these self-limiting beliefs. Mm-hmm. I think the most important message I'd like to get across to our audience is just try it. Try it with a friend. If you have hesitation, if you have the fears, insecurities, whatever it is that's holding you back, the method that's worked best for me is having somebody else in the room with me. Have them sit on the other side of the camera. They don't need to fiddle with it. They can be on a sofa somewhere, but have a conversation with that person. Or was it you, Caleb, or someone else who came up with the idea of printing out pictures of people?
No.
Print out pictures of people that you imagine in your audience or the clients that you have. And physically stick pictures of people on the wall. So you're speaking to your audience rather than speaking to a camera.
Yeah. Emotionally, that's a good idea. Yeah, that would work.
I thought those methods have really helped me enormously because I was so happy being in the shadows. But it's much more liberating to step into the light a little bit more. And the thing that's impressed me the most, especially with the Sovereign CEO audience, because I know that you're almost all guys, or at least a very high percentage of men. I know that a lot of you have followed Caleb's Black Dragon materials. So I'm stepping into Caleb's world as the only female voice in a lot of cases. That's scary as hell.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that this audience would be very unkind, I'll be honest. That, these are guys, they're a lot of them are into dating and pickup stuff, and they're going to be judgmental and harsh and negative. The reality is, much to my surprise, I haven't gotten any of that. None.
I can't, as of this recording, I can't recall one harshly negative comment on this podcast. Not one. Not negative, but harshly negative that you're talking about. I don't remember any so far.
Right. And no,
knock on wood, time will tell.
No personal attacks. And they're not invited, by the way. Personal attacks are never invited. But we haven't had that. And that was honestly the belief that stopped me from trying, is that I'm going to be judged a lot of my appearance. People aren't going to want to listen to me because of my appearance.
Right. That is the concern that everyone has, including men. Oh, what if I make fun of me? And I just did a video or recorded it. You probably saw this weeks ago on the recording this when this video was uploaded, guys. But on haters and people concerned about what if someone makes fun of how I look and various other things. And that the way you handle that in a nutshell is you reframe it. So if I go online and I do a video that's informative, okay, and all of mine are, with rare exceptions. Sometimes I do purely fun, silly videos. Those are rare. If I do something informative with something that is, nonfiction, informative, something that helps with facts, data, techniques, what have you. Okay. And then someone attacks me on my physical appearance. Okay. Which happens all the time. It happens on the internet. It's part of the internet. Welcome to the internet. If I look like Brad Pitt, people would still do it. I've seen guys who are gorgeous, women who are gorgeous, and people attack them on their physical appearance. It's part of the internet. If that happens, that means they have not attacked my content. So guess what that means? The content is validated. Because if I did a video and I said, listen, you idiots, 2 + 2 = 5, you'd be like, no, it doesn't, you moron. Right? Now, if I give you a bunch of techniques, facts, statistics, whatever, and you don't mention any of those, but instead you talk about my nose or my hair or my weight or my skin or my shirt or what's in the back, whatever the fuck, what have you done? You have just validated my content. Because if there was something wrong with my content, you'd hit that first. And if you didn't, by attacking something that has nothing to do with my content, you've just indirectly validated my content. So you reframe this and say, oh, good, they're attacking my physical appearance. They're ignoring my content because they can't say anything bad about my content. Because again, if you say something stupid on the internet, people will call you out, as they should. And if they don't say anything about what you said, they just focus how you look, that's actually, I know it's not a good thing, but it actually is a good thing because it validates your content. So one of the things you do is just reframe this and start there. The other thing is you also assume that it's that 2%. This is a rule we had in public speaking. You do a speech in front of any crowd on any topic, no matter how nice they are, doesn't matter what the crowd is. It's like a 2% rule, but not my 2%. It was a different 2% rule. I think that was 2% or 3%. I think it was 2%. 2% of that audience is going to hate you. And so in public speaking, you would fill out these evaluation forms and hand them in, and then the speakers would just read through them and go, oh, do people like me? And there'd always be, if there's a group of 100 people, you'd say, you're great, you're great, you're great. 2 people, maybe 3 would say, oh, you suck, you're terrible, get off the stage, I can't believe you're an embarrassment. And that's normal. That is a statistical norm that 2% of people are going to hate you no matter what you say. You could, and I've seen this, I've used examples of like little old ladies back when I was a blogger who would do blogging on like gardening. And they would get haters. Little old ladies, sweet little ladies talking about gardening. They get haters. Doesn't matter who you are. You could say, the sky is blue today. Oh, bullshit, you liar. It's part of the internet and it's part of human nature. It's not even part of the internet, it's part of human. So you also factor that in there too. So those are the 2 things that can help you. Now, I know that's easier said than done, but those are 2 reframes you can make in your head about, well, what if people, Now, a third thing is, and Billy, you did this, before you go on camera, you take some time and you make yourself look a little better. So I have a little thing over here where I hate that I have to do this because I'm out independent. I would be naked if I could. I have a little mirror and I have a little hairbrush and I just check my hair really quick. Okay. And I check, make there's nothing in my face. I check, make sure there's no wrinkles on my shirt, straighten your shirt out. Right. I check what's behind me, talk about that. And then you launch. If you're a girl, you kind of do yourself up a little bit. You don't have to look like a supermodel. My wife spends 3 hours. But,
yeah.
Well, see, you spend some time and you should. You should spend some time.
Like you make sure that you shower.
Yes,
that you feel good, that your space is clean, that your body and your clothes are clean, and you feel good.
Right. And then as you get better and more experienced with this stuff, if you want to stick with it, you address your things like your lighting and stuff like that. Now, for these videos, my lighting isn't perfect because this is through webcam, because this is a conversation. But through my YouTube videos, I have a whole setup and I have several different setups and I have real lighting and, cameras. And so you do take the time and effort to minimize some of that. And a flip side of that is many of the criticisms you're going to get from your audience will be helpful. Yes, throughout the time I've been on YouTube, what, 3 years, 2 years? I forget. 2 or 3 years. And yeah, I get some hate, stupid shit that I ignore, or you click and delete it or ban it or whatever. But every once in a while you'll get a thing that says, Caleb, on your lighting, you might want to consider, and you go, oh, actually, that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. Or Caleb, on your background, you might want to consider okay, that's a good idea. Hey, Caleb, with your microphone, you might want to consider, and then you can take that under advisement. A lot of people in your audience want to help you, and they're giving you
the surprising thing.
They're actually constructive.
That is the thing that surprised me the most, is we got a lot of just genuine feedback. People saying, hey, I experienced this too. It's great to have somebody talking about these things that, we'll deal with in our day-to-day lives. So there's There are a lot of positive comments, and keep them coming. We don't ever want to discourage you from commenting, but we love getting that positive feedback. Has empowered me to continue on camera. And as you guys who have been watching know, I kicked Caleb off of the last couple of podcasts so I could have different guests on. And this is all come about because we put ourselves out there, and a lot of people give us very positive feedback. And that small percentage who didn't, that's okay. We can use that to improve. But the other thing I learned, Caleb, is to really lean into who you are.
Yes.
I'm not a supermodel. I'm not ever going to be a chick who primps and preens and really cares a great deal about that. I'm an outdoor girl. And I am like your quirky auntie in the business world. So I'm really leaning into that because I am a quirky, weird lady. I don't have kids, so I'm happy to have the audience as my nieces and nephews, proverbially speaking. So I'm going to be your quirky auntie going forward. And I'm just going to let those parts of my personality shine through. I don't need to be anyone else. This is who I am.
Very good point. I'm glad you brought that up because I would not have brought that up, and that's critical. So in my dating material, you guys, I talk about having a persona, and that is an attractive personality that is 100% congruent to you. That is attractive. And this works the same way. Billie said it, and she's absolutely right about this. Most people, when they do this kind of thing, they feel like they have to put on a false front. They have to sound smarter, or they have to sound more polished, or they have to be really funny. They got to be like Robin Williams and be comedians, or they got to be like Andrew Tate, take their shirt off, and they got to have a cool car. They think they have to be something they're not. And Billie, you are so right. You have to lean in 100%, 200% into who you actually are. You will notice I do this. Do I have any problems leaning into who? No. I take myself and I go, I love myself, and I lean 100%. Sometimes more than 100%. Sometimes I got to back it off a little bit, if anything, but that's a better problem to have. You're too much yourself. That's way better than, I'm going to talk like this and be very if it were me. Now, if it were me talking like this, I made the joke where if I have to talk slow, if I have to speak very slowly like this and speak with long academic college graduate language, I feel like I want to ram a fucking ice pick into my eyeball. So I can't do that. Now, some of you have talked about like Andrew Henderson with Nomad Capitalist, who's a big in the Five Flags space. He has much more of an intellectual, nerdy, vibe that's very different than mine. But that's him, and he leans into it. He wears the glasses. He puts on the scarves. He's awesome that way, so he's himself. So he becomes a brand, unlike just another guy talking about moving out of the country or whatever. I very clearly am a brand. Caleb Jones, obviously, is a brand. If you say Caleb Jones and people know who I am, they go, oh my God, I know him. I'm a brand. I'm not just a guy speaking into a camera. Billie has become a brand. She's leaned into herself. So that's what you've got to do. If you're nerdy, if you're a little skinny nerdy guy, you lean into the little skinny nerdy guy. If you're funny, you'll lean into that. You'll try to not be funny. If you're smart, intellectual, if you're a Mr. Spock type of guy, you lean into that. If you're a big ripped guy with a big beard and you're, a biker type dude, you lean into that. If you're a really pretty hot, Barbie blonde like my wife, you fucking lean into that. Yeah. If you're a big overweight woman, you lean into that. It doesn't matter. You lean into who you are, and that becomes your brand. And now you're congruent. And the beauty of that is you don't have to try. You think I have to try to be me? This is me. I don't have to try. You think I have to act? This is me. Mm-hmm. This is me more relaxed. Like, this is me with the shirt off and just, talking how I want to talk. It becomes more profitable, and it becomes easier. And then it becomes, instead of this thing like, I'm scared to go on camera, you kind of start to look forward to going on camera because now I can be myself. And then the people who follow your content, who like you, now like you for you. And they're there because they like you. They're not there because you're a pretender or because you're trying to act like something else. It becomes 100% congruent, and now you're making money in a congruent way, and you're becoming a real brand. So I'm so happy you brought that up because I would not even thought about this. Oh
man, it's so liberating, Caleb.
Yeah,
it really is. Because as you know, I snowshoe race in the winter. This winter, I'm being a slacker and not doing
hilarious.
But usually every weekend I do a 5K. And I don't have kids, so I take my brother or sister's kids along. The youngest is now 8. So, I just drag kids along. But how many aunties do that? Say, let's go to a 5K halfway across the state today. I'll bribe you by giving you a compass or some other piece of outdoor gear. I will sing silly songs, we'll wear silly outfits, and we'll do these things with unabashed glee. That is who we are. That's who I am.
See,
That's
now, if you were to go
share.
full bore with your own brand, if you were to ever do this down the road, you would put that on video. You'd have YouTube videos about that. And there'd be people who'd be all over that shit. For example, you'd lean in.
Absolutely. But yeah, I just leaned into that. And I thought the way that I resonate with people in my snowshoeing community, everyone thinks of me as the quirky auntie. Oh, you're the one who brings the kids along. You're the one who takes other people's kids, other runners' kids, so they can go fast.
Right.
And the kids can just have fun doing ridiculous shit in the woods with Billy. That's who I am.
It also applies to your, and I kind of implied this, but to be clear with you guys and girls, it applies to your flaws too. Mm-hmm. So your brand is also your flaws are part of your brand. So, good example. So you, Billy, when you first got on your first podcast, you were talking, I think first or second, you were talking about your ADD stuff. Mm-hmm. And you had a whole bunch of guys in the comments go, oh man, I have that too. Oh man. And you got a lot of feedback about it.
Oh my God. And that was amazing to talk about ADHD and autism, which is so personal.
Right.
And something that most of my friends have no idea about because I can mask like a motherfucker. But yeah, being able to talk about that was so liberating. It was frightening at the time.
Right.
But afterwards, we had this huge, 20-some people commented saying, hey, I'm neurodivergent too. So all of a sudden you start building your community. Right. And and the community fosters you, which is just.
And that's more branding, and it's more community building, and it's more money in your pocket if you're a business owner. That's the point. I've talked about, a few things. So throughout my content, I've talked about me losing weight. That's a flaw. That's one of the things I don't like, but that works. Guys love that topic. Guys love that shit. My videos do so great when I talk about what I'm doing for weight loss. They love talking about that stuff. I have a very unusual personal life that I have a non-monogamous marriage. Now, 99.999% of human beings who have that kind of marriage don't tell anybody, but I'm telling everybody, and that becomes part of my brand. And I bring my wife on and we talk about it together, and that becomes part of my brand. People are shocked. I've had her on twice now. People are just shocked. People in my personal life, and then they watch the whole video and they're, this is awesome. And then we get way more traffic than we normally get because we're actually talking about something that no one talks about that other people would consider a flaw or a negative. It becomes part of my brand.
Here's
so it's
another
not just
one.
The things that are good about you or quirky. It's also the negatives about you. That doesn't mean you should embrace your negatives. Did you get my point?
Yes. Yeah. The other thing that's fascinating is, Caleb and I are very real. And we talk to each other in a very open and real way every day in our conversation. Anytime we talk.
We're both very blunt.
Very. Doesn't always make me popular with the females who are more sensitive, but hey, this is why I like the audience in some ways.
Yeah.
But one of the things we talked about was eyebrows. Mine are white.
Oh yeah.
See them. They basically don't exist until I get them microbladed. So a few years ago, I got mine microbladed, which is like a semi-permanent tattoo of fake eyebrows. Caleb went out and did the same thing and told his audience about it. Went on camera saying, yep, Billy did this. My wife does this. I did it. And I just got mine refreshed. But these are the kinds of things that we bring up and discuss because all of us have insecurities.
Right.
And it doesn't matter. You can be Brad Pitt. You're still going to have some sort of insecurity. So talking about those things, again, makes you more relatable to the audience. And they give you the feedback and ask you questions. So it's a self-perpetuating loop of good feelings. You really do gain a lot. And Caleb, you're frozen. Oh, there you are.
You were frozen. Am I unfrozen now?
No, you're good now.
Okay, you're good. Cool. You were frozen. I can still hear you though. A lot of people are concerned about things like, what about my mom? So, okay, I get this stuff, but if I talk about, my mom wants to be a dentist and I want to be a musician, What will my mom think? My dad, my close friends. If I want to start a business, and some of you have in my audience, about dating stuff. And oh no, my grandma, my mom, my dad, my cousin, my boss at work, my coworkers, what about them? It goes back to the same exact thing. This goes back to a much deeper issue that is beyond this, probably the scope of this podcast, unless you want to talk about it. And that is, whose life does this belong to? I talk a lot about this over my other content. Is this your life or is this your mom's life? Assuming you're over the age of 18. If you're under 18, I'm sorry, you belong to your mom and your dad. Sorry. 18 and over, whose life is it? It's your life. So what I was told when I was a young man was, I don't remember where I heard this, but it was, hey, is your mom going to pay all your bills for the rest of your life? No. Well, then what authority does she have over what you're going to do in terms of how you earn income? Is your dad going to pay all your bills? Is your cousin or your boss at work? Does your boss at work pay? Well, yeah. I get a paycheck from, yes. Is he going to pay all your bills for the rest of your life? No. So unless they're going to do this, they have no authority to get upset about what you're doing to create income. And as I've said a billion times, there's only two rules in life. This is my opinion. This is my philosophy. You're welcome to disagree. All of you and Billy too. The only two rules in life is, for me, I can't lie. I can't break the law. That's it. I can do anything else I want. Literally anything. I talk about societal programming and other content. I can do anything I want to earn a living, to make money, to express myself in the marketplace, to demonstrate my personal brand, to open companies, to close companies, to expand companies. I can't lie. I can't say things that I know aren't true. I can't do it. I can refuse to answer questions. I can do that. That's not lying. But even that I don't like. But I'm allowed to do that if I have to. But I can't lie and I can't break the law. And I'm in the 5 flag space. There are a lot of guys who break all kinds of laws in this space. I will not do it. That's where Andrew Henderson and I are very similar. I won't do it. I've had attorneys double check other attorneys, accountants double check other, to make sure I'm not breaking the law because I'm a public figure. There are things I can't do. So an example of that would be, I don't have a jab. I can't say the word starting with V. We can't say that on YouTube, really. Sorry. I don't have the jab for the cerveza sickness. I don't have that. Okay. So that means there are some countries, not very many. There's 2 or 3 countries I'd like to go to that I'm not allowed to go to because I don't have this. There are ways I could go if I violated those 2 rules. I can't do it. Okay. Even if I were to lie to get into the country and then I do YouTube videos and then my audience says, hey, do you have a jab? I'd be like, no, I could lie to you. I can't. So there are limitations I have because these 2 rules, but these are very tiny limitations. I have the whole world, the whole rest of the world do whatever I want with. So where was I going with this? Oh, so if you're worried about your close friends, family members, things like that, A, it's your life. B, I will tell you from experience, as someone who talks about reasonably controversial shit regarding his personal life and has been doing that for 16 years now. You think my mom hates me? No, we're about to, as this recording, we're about to go to Las Vegas in a few weeks with our team and a bunch of people in our coaching programs. And my 80-year-old mom is joining us. She's super excited. And we're going to have a great time. And so my mom loves me. My dad loves me. We have a great relationship. Do they agree with everything I do in my personal life? No. My mom used to be a Catholic nun. You think she loves this stuff? No. But she accepts me. I don't lie. I'm a good person. I'm a successful person. I'm a happy person. And she's also used to it. I've been doing this for so long. She's like, oh, okay. That's what Caleb does now. All right, fine. So it's not a big deal. It's not like these people are going to suddenly disown you and never talk to you ever again. That's very rare that kind of thing happens. So you're building this up in your brain more than you think. So don't worry about this stuff. I've been ranting, but.
Right. But nobody's rejected me. None of my friends is that. And I dropped it on my social media so that my friends and family would know.
Oh, your personal stuff? You mean on your personal social media? You put this stuff?
I did.
Right.
Because I'm leaning into it. And I'm not ashamed of or embarrassed by who I am. So I want people to see that. And I'm okay with them learning these things about me that I wouldn't maybe talk about directly with them.
Yeah.
And nobody has messaged me and said, oh my God, Billy, I'm so pissed off at you. I've known you since middle school.
Right.
And you never told me you had ADHD or Asperger's.
Right.
So I didn't find out until I was much older. And it's not necessarily any of your business.
Right.
It's just not a conversation we've had.
Yeah. What's funny about that is it's 2 reactions you'll get from people in your personal life. Either A, and this is the best word, they don't care. They don't give a shit. No one thinks about you. Everyone thinks they think about you. No one, guess who people think about? Themselves. They don't think about you. They don't care. So they go, okay, they don't care. Or the thing you thought was going to be embarrassing and make you look bad to your friends and family, they like it.
Yeah.
So I have had, when I've talked about I'm talking about the most controversial stuff I talk about a lot of controversial, non-monogamous relationships. Okay. I have had people in my personal life, including my close family, close friends, and old friends, seek me out and go, hey, this thing you're talking about no. So like, how do you do that? And they're super interested in it. And I've had, 9-to-1 more positive reaction to that stuff than negative ones. And frankly, here's the other thing is the people who are negative are just going to keep their mouths shut, usually.
No, they're not. So I was just going to say the irony is me. When Caleb found me and asked me to work with him, I told him like, hey, your non-monogamy stuff is freaking gross. I think it's disgusting. It's not for me. Yuck. Right. No. Disease-ridden, gross. Yuck. Leave it away. You don't have to agree with everything to really have and forge an awesome relationship, whether that's with, one-on-one like Caleb and I have, or with an audience. You don't have to agree. Part of the fun of disagreement is understanding yourself and your own aversion and desire a little bit more. So Caleb and I actually have a hell of a lot of fun disagreeing and bantering back and forth to make the case for our beliefs. And that there's growth there. And that's where it increases interest from other parties as well, because they want to, that other people have their own opinions. So, as long as we're having a positive, polite discourse, we can talk about anything and disagree as much as we want and still have a great deal of fun doing it.
I've often thought about the women in my company, Billie included, when the women all talk together, just the women, about my content. Because I get little drips and drabs of what comes out of those conversations. But it's fine. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Exactly that. And I told people Caleb and I have been working together 5 years. Yeah. And I tell people 20% of what Caleb teaches is total douchebaggery in my mind, but the other 80% is awesome. That's all we're looking for. It's enough that we have a commonality and that we believe in each other's openness and honesty. And that's, what we convey as we're having these conversations with you. Right. This is exactly the kind of convo Caleb and I have in real life. Yeah.
And bringing this back to our topic, that will apply to people in your audience. So when you go public and you start doing this stuff, which I think you should, if you sell, let me be clear about this. If you sell information of any kind, content of any kind, and or a service of either personal service or business service, it is my strong opinion to you, if you want to make the most money you can, get from zero to money as fast as you can, you should be on YouTube, you should be on TikTok, you should be on Instagram, at least those three, and probably LinkedIn too, depending on your niche, with video. You should be doing that. You'll make a lot more money faster, even no matter how nervous you are. That's kind of the point of this. But anyway, a lot of people in your audience will be just like Billie. So Billie just said she likes 80% of my stuff. She doesn't like 20% of it. There are a lot of you, those of you who are in my audience, are in the exact same boat. You love 20%, maybe it's 70-30, maybe it's 60-40. You love 60-70% of what I say. Sometimes I'll start talking about whatever. It could be politics and go, oh, there goes Caleb about politics. Or it could be non-monogamy, or it could be America's collapsing in our lifetimes. You go, it's bullshit. And so there are parts that I may say you may hate, but you're still a regular member of my community, of my audience. Maybe you've even bought some of my stuff. So it doesn't matter. People don't have to have 100% agreement with you. Not everyone in your audience will be like that, and that's okay. On the flip side, you will have people in your audience who do 100% across the board with you. And you'll have those. I have a lot of those too. But a lot of them won't. And that's fine. That's not the objective. The objective is not to get an army of clones of you. That's so dumb. That's why I talk about things like mission. Don't copy my mission. Don't copy my goals. I tell my audience all the time, you're not me. I can teach you and I can help you on certain areas of your life you want to improve, but you're not me. You don't agree with everything. You don't want everything I want. You're not Billie, even if you have a lot of similarities to Billie. So it works the exact same way. What Billie just said works the exact same way, extended out to your audience. And again, all of these things I'm saying goes back to don't worry. Just do it. Take a deep breath. Be scared. Do it wrong a few times. Don't worry. You will be shocked at how much easier you think this is. It is rare. It happens, but it is rare that I see someone who goes public and they just get a wall of hatred and it ruins their lives. I've seen that happen, and it's usually because the person who does that is very uncalibrated and does make some big mistakes. Yeah. But that's the rare exception to the rule. Even people who fuck up, they tend to do fine. And every video gets better, and then your equipment gets better, your delivery gets better, you get more comfortable talking to the camera. I'm way better now talking to the camera than I used to be, 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
You improve.
You really have improved.
Yeah.
And I can do it now. So if I can do it, the rest of you can too.
More than that. So really quick about you. I know I'm talking too much. I'll shut up.
Oh, this is great.
Okay. And you mentioned this earlier. So you guys and gals who are nervous about showing your face publicly, you don't have the bar that Billie had to overcome. Billie's coming into my audience for a bunch of hardcore guys, bunch of high testosterone guys, a lot of them in the dating world and some of them in the red pill world, some not. A lot of them in the Five Flags world. These are hardcore worlds, where it's not super friendly to a lot of people of the female persuasion.
Oh, no.
Or at least the people of female persuasion who don't look like super Instagram supermodels. Or even those too. Right. And Billie,
if they're not able to use them for their own pleasure, then women don't really have any value in this audience.
See, Billie's going to get on a rant, yeah. Right. My point is,
I know these guys. Come on.
I know you do. Billie was walking into a lion's den that 99% of you don't need to do. You have it so much easier than Billie, and look, it worked out for her. It worked out better than great for her. So she had a much higher bar to clear than the vast majority of you do if you want to talk about whatever the fuck you want to, whatever your topic is. So if Billie said, if I can do it, you can do it. And that is more than true. Yeah.
Thanks for validating that, Caleb. That helped. It's
absolutely true. I didn't tell you this. I had some concerns. When you came on the first podcast, I didn't tell you because I want to scare you. I said, okay, there's a possibility we could get some real assholes in the comments, and I might have to go delete really quick to not, turn Billie off. But that didn't happen.
No, it didn't. Thank you.
But that's my point. You had a much higher bar to clear than the vast majority of the people watching this podcast, listening to our voices, have or had or will have. So
exactly.
No excuses, man.
You're going to be able to find your own voice so much more quickly. I had to jump in and fit into Caleb's energy and his audience's expectations.
Yeah.
When you start, there's very unlikely to be those expectations placed on you, except for that intrinsic pressure that you put on yourself.
Right.
No one else is waiting to judge you negatively or positively, for that matter. But no one is looking to judge you. They're just looking to learn what you have to say.
Right. They're looking for help. People go on YouTube or these platforms. I shouldn't say YouTube, Rumble, TikTok, Instagram. It doesn't matter. People go on the internet for one of two reasons: to be entertained because they're bored, or because they have a problem they need help with. And if you're starting a business, most likely you're in the second category. You're in the problem-solving business. Billie and I are problem solvers. That's what we do for a living. We're very good at it. And so that's what they're looking for. They're not looking for your haircut. They're not looking for what race you are, if you're Black or Asian or they're not looking for that. They don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care. Matter of fact,
no one has yet said Billie is ass ugly and looks like a gibbon. They've just said, hey, you have some cool things to say.
I don't think you look like a gibbon.
Well, it was the first thing that came to mind. I kind of look like my aliens.
Oh, God, that was funny. Holy shit. What do I look like? If you look like a gibbon, what do I look like? Do I look a
lemur?
I look like a lemur. Okay, that's good. Billie's advice earlier, really quick, I want to double down that before we wrap this. We've got to wrap this in a few minutes. If you just are super uncomfortable talking to the camera, Billie's advice is accurate. Do the format where you're talking to someone else. Even that person is off camera, and you can hear their voice and you're talking. Here's a perfect example. The biggest podcast in the known universe is Joe Rogan. How good do you think Joe Rogan would be way back when he first started his podcast? Yes, I know he's a comedian. Just looking at the camera and talking about something serious for 25 minutes. Probably wouldn't be that good. And he probably would have been really terrible back in the day, right? That's not where he's a comedian. He can do stand-up. I'm talking about serious stuff. He talks his podcast. So instead, what he did is he talks to other people. He likes to have conversations, to Billie's point. So if you just can't get over that hump because of your personality or your fears, then do what Billie said. Have another person on the call with you, or have someone over the corner, the camera's on you, and you're having a back and forth with that person. And start there, and that'll get you comfortable on camera. Then you can move to the next step if you want. You probably should, depending on how big you want your scale of your business, to do what I do and talk to the camera. But you get started that way, it's a lot easier. Mm-hmm. And it takes a lot of the, right, Billie? It takes a lot of the fear and the anxiety and the pressure off.
It does. And that feeling of looking at it, looking into a blank camera. It kind of brings up that blank page. What do I say? What did I want to do next? It erases that when you have something else to focus on. And that old adage of imagine your audience in their underwear or naked, whatever it is, that's the same. It's the same principle. Is that you're deflecting some of that pressure that you're putting on yourself.
Right. You have anything else to say? We should probably wrap this up.
We should. My advice to all of you listening is break out your cell phone or your computer, whatever it is, shoot a video. Make that your goal for this week to spend 1 minute in front of the camera if you haven't done that. 1 minute. And do it with a friend. Jump on Zoom like Caleb and I do with a friend and give yourself a chance. Get started. You'll be really surprised with what you're able to do, especially when you set yourself up for success in these ways.
And I promise you, I'm not kidding about this. I'm right about this. This is what I do for a living. And I'm successful doing this. You will make more money if you get on camera with your own face and you say, you verbalize the solutions you're presenting to the marketplace. Can you make money without ever going on camera? Of course you can. I did it, but I had to work a lot harder and I made a lot less money than I could have had I been on camera from day one. Had I been Black Dragon and did videos, at least put on like a black leather jacket or something stupid like that, some branding thing, I would have made a lot more money much more quickly, way back in the day, had I been public with my persona than hiding behind anonymity. You will make more money. Billie is right. It's not nearly as hard as you think. It's not. There's no reason not to do it, with rare exception.
Agreed. Cool. And you're working toward a goal here, guys.
Right.
Your
correct.
goal is to build your empire. Right. Empire buildings means moving barriers and roadblocks. And if a roadblock for you is fear, we're here to help you get through it.
Right.
It's absolutely doable, and it's so much simpler than you think. The other thing is that, your mom is, I'm sure that, you had your first breakup in high school and your mom or dad said, oh, there are plenty of other fish in the sea. There are plenty of people who will find you attractive and interesting. It's the same thing with your audience, guys. Your real self is interesting and attractive and fascinating as hell to a percentage of the population.
Right.
So put yourself out there and find out who they are.
Right. And you only need a few hundred customers to make a lot of money. It's not like you need to be Elon Musk and make billions of dollars. You don't. A few hundred customers, often even less than that, to make a lot of money. You don't need tens of thousands of people to follow you on fucking Instagram. You don't. To hit your financial goals. You don't. Trust me on this. You don't. I have very little followers. I do just fine. I do more than fine. You don't need a lot of them.
And I have almost no followers, and I do great.
And I know Billie does just fine. So yes. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Billie. This was fun.
This was fun. I hope we gave some of you guys that kick right in the ass to go out and start making videos.
Cool.
And if you do comment be sure to comment below. Be sure to subscribe, and please leave your comments too for other topics you'd like Caleb and I or other guests to discuss as we go forward with the podcast.
And in the link below, we have links now to the audio versions of this podcast on all the usual podcast platforms. So look below. You'll see all those links because a lot of you have asked for those. Cool. All right.
Awesome. Thanks,
We'll
Caleb.
see you guys next week. Thank you, Billie.
See you then, everyone.
Bye.